You say you're well, it's you're the UK's leading biohacker. For anybody who doesn't really know, what would you define biohacking as?
It's a really good question because so many people call it so many different things. There's so many different definitions. I think it is the basically optimizing your health, quantifying what you do, and that can be optimizing your health from food, exercise. It can be optimizing exposure to light, such as fake junk light, and everything around. So it's bearing in mind, as Dave Asprey, the father of biohacking, calls it, optimizing the environment inside of you and outside of you to take control of your own biology. I think as a non-biohacker, people don't really understand the environment inside of you definition part of it. But really, it's setting a goal for your health or performance and working to it and tracking it along the way.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think some people, when they hear biohacking, they think of this kind of like hocus pocus bullshit, right? Doing all those sort of crazy things and injections and pills and all sorts of different stuff. And obviously there's some truth to some of that, because a lot of, your early biohackers were sort of just self-body experimenters, like we're just kind of trying things. And such is the way with life, 100 years ago, people started lifting weights and putting on muscle, and people thought those people were crazy, right? And now we just know all of these different things. So it's interesting to see someone such as yourself that are trying out all these new protocols. When did you start biohacking?
So 10 years ago now, actually, before I knew what biohacking actually was. I got into it like a lot of people these days do. I mean, there's really two types of biohackers. There's the Dave Asprey style, which is had either been fat or obese and unhealthy and suboptimal, or there's the Ben Greenfield biohackers, who are the ultra athletes that want to be even more, and that haven't typically had sickness to deal with. I came in under the being unhealthy mindset because I was eating pizza and Chinese food and working 16, 18-hour days and sleeping 6 hours and expecting to survive. So I fell into it from being unhealthy, and then having chronic health issues and realizing that, the smart move wasn't avoiding eating clean food, wasn't, stretching your body, respecting mind space and holiday and all of these things. So yeah, I got into it from sickness. Then as I fixed different things, I realized that my performance could improve. Once upon a time I had brain fog and I didn't realize it was down to gut health. So I'd buy nootropics from the pharmacy. And then I realized it's linked to gut health, and you fix your gut health and your gut health's better, but you still want sharper minds. So then you get nootropics on top of it. So it's, constantly goes. Right. But in terms of what you're saying about injecting lots of things and taking supplements, yes, that is biohacking to some extent. Yeah. But biohacking is also understanding homeostasis and what the body needs to be balanced and operate as it was originally designed to do, which is why the studies around standing desks or walking, around movement and the immune system, sunlight, and how that upregulates so many processes in the body, or even grounding, getting your shoes off and standing in the grass works. For me, a biohacker isn't a biohacker unless he does these basic things first.
That's very smart, because as I said, people, they often look at this as having to do something crazy, but some people might say, well, isn't that just being healthy or sleeping right? And I think it's a little bit more precise. And, people probably now they've been more aware of blue light blocking glasses, or is trying to stay off your phone and that sort of stuff. I think that's that right there, sort of slowly optimizing these different parts of your day. I think this is a little bit more tried and true tested, and trying to figure out exactly how you optimize how the sleep goes into waking up in the morning and your hormones, and how that's going to affect insulin sensitivity or resistance. And you just keep going down and down and down. So what was the first biohack that you tried on yourself? Because you said, I'm familiar with Greenfield, and I do peptides and different things, and the people interested, I did a peptide, podcast. You can go back and listen to that. But so you've got the sickness who are trying to make themselves better versus the, let's say, athletes or, top 1%ers trying to just get that little extra edge, whether that's physically, mentally, whatever. What was your first, you'd say, biohack?
Well, I'd taken loads of supplements and tried loads of different things and gut cleanses and blah, blah, blah. So I don't really class those as biohacks at that point because I wasn't a biohacker. The first one was bulletproof coffee. I'm not going to deny it. I heard that you can have this oil and butter in your coffee and your brain comes alive. I was actually chronically sick really badly at the time. I had brain fog every day, and whenever I was in a meeting and my staff would ask me a question, and it required any processing, I'd be like, what is it you think? And get them to answer it for me. That's really where my brain was at. So the first day I had bulletproof coffee, it was about 9:30 in the morning, and next thing I realized it was like 2:30 in the afternoon, and I'd just been like late focus. It was just like insane. So I consider that to be the first biohack, being fat fueled for breakfast, and satiated instead of having to eat crappy carbohydrate, sugary product for breakfast. So yeah, that was the first thing. But just to take it back one step, I just want to say that biohacking is a mindset. It's not necessarily the modality. So if you're doing yoga as a yogi, you're not a biohacker. But as a biohacker, if you choose to use yoga as one of the tools in your belt, then it's a biohack. And that's where a lot of people kind of go, well, you're doing grounding. That's just woo-woo stuff. That's not biohacking. Yes, it is, because it's a systems thinking approach to optimizing. And that's the critical difference, I think.
So it's really just taking care of your health from all avenues. Some people take it a little bit further. Like I said, like peptides, people are like, I'm not going to take a needle, right? But like people who have diabetes, they're going to inject insulin, and or you have some sort of medication where you have to take, that's okay. But then they look at some sort of peptide, which is just really naturally occurring in your body anyways, and just helping elevate these. Like some people are going to take it that level, and others that might look at, your yogi, if you will, to use that example, where I had a friend that she went to India for 6 weeks. She couldn't speak, and she went to this, yoga workshop before biohacking was really a popular term. And you're right, Asbury is one of the ones that kind of popularized it, but she wouldn't speak for 6 weeks, and it was just talking about like mindset, whatever, and like taking care of their entire mind, body, spirit, which it could be classified as biohacking, but that seemed a little bit more normal now. Now people, I think some people take these things to the extreme, but people taking things to the extreme sometimes brings things to mainstream once they're tested out. So I'm not going to be the one that tests like all the crazy stuff, but more and more people do it. And I look at the, anecdotal research, and then, eventually scientific research, say, oh, maybe I should try this.